Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, and thanks for coming out. And guess we'll start off with today's work session. We will start with Kevin Reed with the Department of Health.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and council members.
Good afternoon.
We'll start with Babies Born Healthy, Bill 7118. This is a request for a supplemental appropriation of state funds from the Maryland Department of Health in the amount of $47,780 to the Babies Born Healthy program. The program addresses low birth weight premature births and will target certain areas where data has shown and will provide salary and fringe benefits for 2 part-time public health nurses and 1 part-time community health worker. These physicians will go into the homes and assist pregnant women with care coordination and navigation services with the goal of having a successful and healthy baby.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. Are there any questions by any of the members?
Mr. Chair.
Yes. Councilwoman Bebb.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just curious, Mr. Reed, how are these locations assigned?
So the state asked us to identify and grant certain hotspot areas, and this grant in particular will focus on the Owings Mills and Cockeysville area. We do have other areas of the county with other programming, such as a prenatal enrichment program. Later in this agenda, we'll also talk about the Baltimore County Health and Families Program, which is open countywide. Again, this is a countywide program, but we'll focus on these areas.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Councilwoman.
Kevin, does this have anything to do through the infants and toddlers program that we have in Baltimore County?
It does not.
Does not. Thank you.
Any additional questions? Hearing none, while you're there, Mr. Reed, you can move right along to community-based programs to test for hepatitis C.
Sure. This is another request for a supplemental appropriation. These are federal funds from the
On
Center
page 4.
for the Center for Disease Control and Prevention in the amount of $33,226 to the community-based program to test and cure hepatitis C. This will support the salary and fringe benefits of 4 part-time physicians who will focus on reviewing laboratory reports and pursuing investigations to reach out to and link individuals who are newly diagnosed with hepatitis C to get them into treatment services. It's anticipated will serve approximately 400 residents this year.
Any additional questions? Yes, Councilman Cack.
Will you please explain to me the latest treatment for hepatitis C?
Well, I'm not a medical doctor, so but I do have in my notes here.
You play one on TV.
What's that? Only one here, that's correct. So hepatitis C is a reportable illness. About a third of people show symptoms. Again, the CDC recommends anyone in the high-risk category. That includes anyone born between 1945 and 1965 to get tested. It is curable. There's 2 types of drug, interferon, and I don't even think I can pronounce the other one, ribavirin, I believe, that can cure, test and cure. So it's important that when lab reports do show up positive, it is reportable disease. The local health departments will follow up with that person and the provider. And that's what this grant is.
And the reason I asked the question is that I'm concerned about those individuals who are released from county detention as far as if they're detected to have hepatitis C. I'm just wondering, is it still a number of treatments, or is it one treatment today?
That we would have, I'd have to get back to you.
Yeah, if it's a number of treatments, I just want to make sure that it
If someone tested
continues so
positive
that,
in
right.
the detention center during incarceration or after, it would be routed to our department for follow-up.
Yeah, okay, and the department does follow up. Okay,
For all
thank you.
county residents.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? Mr. Reed, will you stay around and talk about a contract with Frederick Ellis?
Sure.
And then those next two items will go with the health department? I mean, with the housing department, is that right?
That's with DSS, so I can do that one as well. But
Okay.
the-
Oh, no, well, go right ahead then.
Okay.
I wasn't that sure.
So we're talking about Bill 7418, again, is another request for supplemental appropriation from the
Page
US
7. Okay.
Department of Housing and Urban Development. The supplemental request is $190,953 to the Housing Council Program. So the Housing Council Program exists now. We also have a rental allowance program. The Housing Council provides support services, and the goal is to prevent eviction. The rental allowance program provides subsidies of $1,500 up to $1,500 max for up to 6 months for someone who needs assistance with housing. Basically, the state had different state departments that dealt with homeless prevention, and that's all been filtered under the Department of Housing and Community Development, which runs this grant through the Continuum of Care. So these are two programs that we have. We're combining them under one grant program. That's the reason for the supplemental.
Any questions? Yes, Councilman Quirk.
Not a question, but I did want to thank you for your work with this program. And I think, as in our notes, this program serves homeless youth, victims fleeing domestic violence, those identified for shelter diversions, youth who are aging out of foster care systems. So that's this whole program.
That's one of the targets, yes.
Yeah, which is incredibly important because that's where we see a lot of when people are falling through the cracks. Definitely, this is one of the places they are. So this is something I definitely appreciate the work on.
Any additional questions? I would just like to echo what Councilman Quirk said. It is important, so many times it's almost like a straw to break a camel's back. It's just somebody need that little help to get over the hump, so to speak, while we're still dealing with the camel. Just a little bit of help to get over a bad spot, stop them from spiraling out of control and end up in one of our shelters.
Absolutely.
So, no additional questions, comments. We can move right along. Are you going to do the Enhanced Families Project as
Yes,
well?
sir.
Page 10.
The MICV stands for Maternal Infant Early Childhood Visitation Program, and this is another supplemental request for supplemental appropriation. These are federal funds from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services in the amount of $14,960. MICV is one of the funding sources for the Baltimore County Healthy Families Program. It's an evidence-based home visiting services for at-risk pregnant women and their families from pregnancy up to the age of 5. We've expanded this program, if you remember, 2 years ago to include all of Baltimore County. This was just additional one-time money that goes for training and data support for the program, which is run by the Abilities Network.
Any questions? Any comments? Hearing none. Guess we'll move right along to page 25.
Fiscal Matter 4, this is a request to approve a contract with Frederick Ellis, trading as Atwater Cab, to continue to provide eligible county residents with taxi services and medical and other necessary appointments, case managers, at least that we use through Department of Health and Human Services. These are for people who have no other means to get there. This contract commenced on July 1, 2018, and if approved by council, will continue through July 31st, 2019, and it will automatically renew for 2 additional one-year periods. Compensation may not exceed the amount appropriated for these services in our grants, and this is a countywide contract.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Councilman Quirk.
Just a quick, more technical question. I know when reading through the notes, it said the department's requesting that the contract be designated as a 902F proprietary contract. Can you tell me just a little bit more about that?
Sure, this was based on the contractor's location and ability to provide these services, specifically on the county's east side. It's basically as a third option for our use. We already have 2 cab vendors currently in use, but we needed a third that had greater flexibility in different areas of the county.
maybe I missed something. It says the county awarded the contract on a non-competitive basis. Non-competitive basis, no, there were no other companies interested.
This was a contract that we had previously, and they did not, no, there was no other contracts interested, and all the prices are set by they're capped at the same rate. So this was based on the location specifically to the east side of the county.
Okay.
Any additional questions? Thank you very much, Mr. Reed.
Thank you.
Tell the good Dr. Branch we said hello.
I will. Everyone got the flu shots today?
Yes.
All right.
But not by Dr. Branch this time.
Yeah.
Can,
It's not a personal visit this time.
That's
and
Tell
I
me
did
this
have
soon.
one question about the flu shots. I mean, can you lower the price? I mean, I think it's unfair that we would have to pay $25 for a shot.
I paid 30.
I got mine.
Well, I don't see Miss Andrea Van Arsdale here, but I see a good substitute.
She is on vacation. I do know that. I think this week. I talked to her.
Okay, we'll move on to page 15.
Good afternoon.
Good
I'm here
afternoon.
to talk about item 1902, budget appropriation transfer in the amount of $62,565. These are federal funds that we need to move to appropriately reflect the actual staff time and effort that we undertook during fiscal year 2018. Federal regulations require that our staff keep timesheets that reflect actual time spent on a variety of federally funded activities. Last fiscal year, our staff spent more time than originally anticipated on planning activities. General administration and planning are two budget codes funded out of our Federal Community Development Block Grant Entitlement Program Award. Funds are appropriated at the beginning of each year based on our best estimates of where staff time will be spent. In FY18, two large planning projects took considerably more staff time than originally anticipated. This was reflected in staff timesheets and created an imbalance on the planning side of the budgeted appropriation. This BAT is part of a necessary year-end reconciliation to move federal funds from budget codes with available appropriation into Budget Code 1849, thereby resolving the imbalance associated with extra staff time spent on these planning activities.
Any questions, comments? Hearing none? Thank you very much. Mr. Keith Dorsey, page 18, on-call roofing. Good afternoon, sir. Any questions?
Just one, if I could, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Yeah, I noticed there were no county buildings slated for roof replacement or repairs at this time, but this is, I'm sure probably in the pipeline, we have some coming up.
Okay. Any additional questions? Give me 1 second, Mr. Dorsey. Give me 1 second. Just have to check one thing. I was looking, trying to see, are these local companies? Okay,
Mr. Chair,
yes.
if I may, I had the same question, so I looked it up.
Googled it?
Yeah, Bollinger's in 21230,
Okay,
and City Roof Corp is, looks like they're in Columbia, Maryland.
okay. This is close enough. These are 21230.
I was hoping it would be one of yours, because it's not one of mine. It might be Baltimore City.
I think it is.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Move right along. Any additional questions? Let's go to Mr. Steve Walsh, page 21.
Mr. Chairman, members of the council. The administration is requesting approval of 3 contracts to provide on-call snow removal and salt application services, and this basically is manpower and equipment to supplement county staff when we have snow. Contracts are similar. You've seen many similar contracts in the past. 3 contractors are Benger Incorporated, Carl W. Nutzel Landscape Service Incorporated, and Grandson Incorporated. Each contract would commence November 1st, 2018, continue through April 30th, 2019. That's a snow season, and would automatically renew for 9 additional years. Compensation for the contracts, together with all other contracts for the services, may not exceed the amount appropriated for snow removal during the entire term of the contract, which would be 9 years and 6 months.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Councilwoman Bevins?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have a question. It's 9 years, 6-month term. It seems like a
They're
very
basically
long term.
Basically 10-year contracts, right?
Is that normal?
The
Don't we normally vote on 2 and 3 and 4 and 5-year contracts? To have a 10-year contract with the same folks?
Yeah, these contracts have been long-term contracts. Once again, the goal is to get these guys under contract because we're always in competition with state highway and other jurisdictions for outside support. So the terms of these contracts have been consistent since the beginning, at least since I've been here. So
For 9 years.
9
yeah.
years.
Now, if they don't perform well, we don't bring them back. We wouldn't exercise the renewal options. Sometimes the small contractors don't like doing the work when we call them at a moment's notice for snow. So yeah, some drop off. But
What happens when there's no snow? Are they still paid?
we don't. No,
They're not paid at all?
no,
Unless they go out?
Unless
They
they
have to
go out.
document that they go out?
absolutely.
Thank you. I just was curious.
Any additional questions? Hearing none, I guess we'll move along to page 29. Amy, is she here? Oh, there she is, back there hiding. Ms. Grassi, how are you doing today? Good, good. Page 29. Good afternoon.
I'm starting with fiscal matter number 5, which is the conveyance of an easement area by the State Department of Natural Resources to the county for the Patapsco Basin 33 relief sewer. This runs through the Patapsco Valley State Park, and it is temporary construction area and permanent drainage and utility easements for a relief sewer project by the Department of Public Works. It was appraised by our staff at $8,215, and the state countered at $8,815. The $600 difference was deemed acceptable by my staff as well as the staff of the Department of Public Works, and so we can proceed with the project.
Yes, Councilman Quirk.
Just one quick question. I know there's no specific construction date that's available at this time, and we've also encumbered a certain amount of money toward this. If they're not completed within X period of time, is any of that money, I guess, is there any way we can leverage it to get them at a certain period of time we know it can be done by? That's my question.
Maybe Mr. Dorsey might have an answer for that from the budget perspective. Yeah, if there's any way that we can leverage the money to...
I'd like to just figure out more of a timeline for this project, like when I can expect it to start and to finish, and I haven't been able to get any information. I know the $1.3 million that's been expended or encumbered for this project, so I'll talk to the state more too, because it's a major project in the area. But thank you for your work on it.
Oh, sure.
Any additional questions, comments? We'll right along to fiscal matter number 6, page 32.
And this is the second in the string of acquisitions for the Lenore Court flood mitigation project. This is 1700 Lenore Court in Gwynn Oak, and it is another repetitively flooded, residentially improved property that we are acquiring with federal funds. It was appraised at $152,000. This is the home of Teddy Bell. He has accepted the appraised value, and we're moving right along with those acquisitions. As soon as they're all done, we will demolish the residences, pull up the impervious surface, and hopefully help with some of the mitigating the floods down in the southwest corner of the county.
And super quickly, so there's 2 of 6. Are the other 4 in process? I mean, it looks...
Yes, sir. They're all in process.
That's great. Appreciate your work, and I would love to see what other targets in southwest Baltimore County too that eventually have on our, maybe our objective or agenda. If that exists, I would love to see it.
Mr. Walsh's staff might have something available.
I see Steve in the back there. Just curious on kind of what our big picture plan is for some of this really severe flooding we've been seeing. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I neglected, when Mr. Walsh was up before us, I neglected to thank you, Steve, for organizing today's meeting. Hopefully we can make an impact with the issue that we discussed. Just appreciate you pulling it all together.
Okay, Ms. Grassi, we'll move right along to number 7, page 35.
The administration is requesting approval of a contract to acquire easements across the property of the Groffs on Reisterstown Road for a 36-inch water transmission main project that's coming through there. This project is in conjunction with a state project through that area. This is a part of a county contribution to that project. The easements are for permanent drainage and utility easement, permanent access easement, and temporary construction area. The easement's appraised at $26,990, and work is going to begin shortly on that as soon as the acquisition moves forward.
Any questions? Hearing none. Thank you very much, Ms. Grassi.
Thank you.
Move on to page 13, Bill 7618. Councilwoman Bevins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Bill 76-18 would repeal the $20 a month tax on manufactured homes in Baltimore County. Currently, manufactured home tenants are taxed 7% of their monthly rent, capped to $20 per month. This comes out to an additional $240 residents of manufactured homes have to pay a year on top of their rent. The tax has outlived its purpose when it was established in the 1950s. Repealing this tax would help the residents of manufactured home parks all over Baltimore County. Many of these residents live on fixed incomes. Repealing this tax is not breaking new ground. Anne Arundel County has already repealed its tax on mobile home residents, and Howard County is considering doing the same. A little history on the mobile home tax. The tax on mobile homes has been around since about 1954. It's before I was born. The rationale behind the tax when it was originally established was to ensure that these types of home paid their fair share for county services. At the time, these homes were mobile. Owners would come and go and not pay any property taxes, but still benefited from county services while staying here. Mobile homes are no longer mobile. Manufactured home parks are established communities with active community associations, such as the Baltimore County Mobile Home Association and the Biscayne Bay Community Association. Tenants already pay ground rent for their pads, and they are fully vested in Baltimore County. Residents who pay apartments do not pay a $20 tax on their apartments, so neither should the residents of these manufactured homes. The land on which these manufactured homes are situated are already taxed, so the extra $20 a month to me is double dipping. This is about fairness. The tax is out of date and should be repealed, and I welcome my colleagues to support it.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Councilman.
whether the council lady or the auditor, do the owners of the manufactured homes get an assessment from the state of Maryland, that you're...
The individual homeowners?
Yeah.
They do not. The property owner already pays taxes on the property with structures already on it. They're paying the tax for the mobile homes for each and every unit already on that property.
So if there's 100 homes and they're worth $1 each, let's say, it would be the value of the land plus $100.
I believe
The
that's-
value of the...
No. Lauren has the answer to that.
Okay, good.
It's based on the income the pads generate, correct?
Consideration what they are paying and what would be translated
Well, I understand that as the individual homeowner, but the property taxes are already paid on the property by the owner of the mobile home park themselves. Lauren, I have a question for the auditor. Correct me if I'm wrong, but when we looked at the Williams Estates mobile home park, wasn't that listed as a improved property, and they paid $348,000 in taxes that year? It's improved. And some mobile home parks pay a commercial tax, which is even higher than a residential tax. The property owners themselves, not the tenants who are living there. They're even paying more taxes than what a residential tax would be. I understand that, and what they also don't have is snow removal and trash pickup because they're private properties, and they pay for that themselves. The county does not do trash removal or plow their roads. They use our county services. So you think it's totally appropriate for a mobile home park? I'm going to go back to Williams Estates because we have the numbers for that. For that property owner to pay $348,000 a year for the improved property, and then the county also receive an additional $20 per unit in property taxes as well. You think that's fair? I know, but they're already paying, the owner of the property is already paying property tax. So it's getting paid twice.
I'm sorry, ma'am. The owner is paying the property tax on an income basis, not on any improved property.
We have it. Williams Estates' tax bill was assessed on improved property.
Well, that is obviously something that would have to be taken a look at on the individual basis to see what improvements they may have taxed. The point is really this. This is obviously not an administration bill. The administration opposes any reduction in revenue. I think you've all seen enough from what the administration has put forth and from our debt affordability analysis to indicate any loss of revenue is going to be severely difficult for the county to overcome, especially coming up on next bond sale. Mr. Dorsey gave you all a letter mid-September that addresses these exact same points that he's making today. That's the position that the administration is taking on this.
Thank you, Mr. Homan.
Sure. Good. Councilman Katz.
Thank you. Lauren, can you, what is the assessed value of the land and the improvements at Williams Estates? And what about the improvements?
30 million.
I just can't hear you, I'm sorry.
30 million is the total, 20 in improvements, 10 in land.
20 million in improvements,
Right, and 10 for the land.
10 in land, so there's about 500 units, 800, so if you divide 800 into 20 million, should give you what the value of each of the improvements is. Tom, you gonna do the math?
What was your question? What was your
No,
math?
in other words, $20 million is the value of the improvements. So if you divide 800 into it, it would give the approximate value of each of the
$25,000.
$25,000. Is that about the value on average of
Of a home?
of a mobile home on, I don't know,
Well, some can be that low and some are significantly higher.
higher?
There's as
So-
high as $60,000.
So it appears that the owner of the Williams Estates is paying a property tax that includes
He is.
the homes.
He is. That's my point. It's
Yeah, I
double-
know,
it's-
I'm
It's
just-
double dipping.
Yeah, so
That's my
I'm,
point.
so it appears that way to me. Does administration have any comments about that? I mean, yeah, I mean, if indeed this is the case, they are paying, well, not double, but they're paying more than they really need to be paying because the owner is paying property tax on the 800 units or 500 units, whatever it is, so.
I mean, these are really unique situations with these mobile home parks. They take a mortgage out and they own their property. The same with their water bill. We were all talking about that. They have their own water meters that go to the owners. Some of these people pay $20, $30, $40 a month for water. Now, we all are getting the same water from the city. I've never paid more than $20 for a quarter, much less a month. We have these people paying up to $80 a quarter for water, the same water each one of us consume. So someone's actually even making money off the water in these mobile home parks. It's ridiculous.
But in all fairness, do they pay their bill to the city or the county?
No, they don't allow them. They're metered to their homes,
Right.
and then the owner takes the meter off the reading and charges them $20 and $30 a month for their water.
But I mean, that's between them and the owners, right?
Correct, but I'm just saying, they're being overcharged even for their water. They're making money off their water, because it's city water. It's coming from the same place, and we all pay the same amount for it.
Lauren?
Listen, but it's,
I'm sorry.
the point I was trying to make, they're very unique situations, just like when we did the stormwater remediation fee. I fought hard to get that number changed for mobile home parks, because I had a mobile home park that was situated on commercial land. So they were paying over $100 a year for the stormwater remediation fee or rain tax, whatever you want to call it, and every other property owner was only paying $39 a month for $39 a year for a single-family home. Why was a mobile home paying 3 times as much? And I was told because they were on commercial land, their taxes were a different formula, so we had to legislate that as well, and we passed that. But I think it's just they're very unique properties with some very old laws in existence that I think need to go. These are homes that they have community associations, they're active in my communities, and they should be treated the same as every other property in Baltimore County. I don't pay a fee every month to somebody and mail my bill off to Baltimore County. I mail one bill off to Baltimore County for my land, my home that's on my land.
I bet you it's more than $1,200 a year.
Oh, yes, it is.
I think that's the, I
Well,
think
they
that's-
only.
I
they-
think that's the point.
Well, how much land do you think these homes sit on?
I don't know.
They got about 4 feet around their home.
People in a townhouse, I'm sure they don't have that much.
They have more than what's in a mobile home park, for sure.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask Lauren to ask the state for the paperwork for this assessment, and that way we'll know where this $20 million value comes from. We'll know how many units.
Well,
And mind you, that's just one mobile home
Right.
park.
Yeah,
We have
and-
thousands of mobile
Yeah.
homes within, especially eastern Baltimore County. I know Mr. Quirk has some mobile home parks in his community as well. I don't know about
and
anybody
so do
else.
I.
and so do I.
So that
Mr. Chair.
paperwork should indicate. What?
Is your mic on, Mr. Dorsey? Is your mic on?
Can't hear you.
Go ahead.
And now it is.
You know, it's, you know, trying to figure out how is it that if these mobile homes are still owned by the mobile home owner, not the land, the big park owner, how is it that the park owner has a $20 million assessment on property they don't own? So that's why we do have to find out from the state.
I mean, they
how
have
did they come
community
up with that?
centers. They have community centers on their properties.
Well, that would be considered an improvement.
Yep, that is well.
Right.
Yeah. So the question is, is there, and Mr. Dorsey, I think you just said this, but a question of consistency in how the state is assessing these properties. As Lauren, if I'm not mistaken, Lauren found that Williams Estates compared to others, some of them are assessed as improved and some are assessed as unimproved.
But if you have a community center, that's improved. If you have
Can
any
we ask
structure,
the
it's an
state
improvement.
what is the policy on what's improved and what's unimproved?
I think any
what their
structure is
definitions
an
are?
improved property.
Mm-hmm.
Any structure. Even if you had one out of 10,000 trailers.
Mobile
Yeah.
homes.
Yeah, mobile home.
Lauren, are you saying that some of the assessments have 0 for improvements?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I,
it sounds
I'm going to
inequity here.
I'm going to take this opportunity to go with Councilman Quirk, and then I do have a question. Has nothing to do with the property owner. I guess it goes back to the people that are living there. Go ahead, Councilman Quirk.
Yeah, just to make sure I'm understanding correctly, so if you have, say, a pad site, each pad site pays a maximum of $20 per month, so it's $240 a year?
Yes.
You know, if you look at that and you compare it to, say, an average $100,000 home at 110 per 100, that means an average, say, $100,000 home's paying $1,100 per year in taxes versus $240, right? Same analysis?
Yes, but I think the councilwoman is saying in terms of if you add back in the amount of property tax that translate through their fees, that you would have
That's
to
what I'm
take
gonna
that in
say.
consideration as well.
From the land,
From the
landowner
From the
itself.
landowner, that is, in terms of the question, are there
Who's
parts of
passing
it-
on that to the
Yeah, is he passing,
mobile?
is he or she passing on that amount to the mobile home owner in their rent?
Mhm.
But then if they are, as I said, if you've reached your cap, which has been in place since like 1988, and you're paying $20, then whatever they're passing on, you're not having to pay any more than that $20 a month, even if your rental that they're charging you went up. So that's part of it as well.
Well,
It would be-
Mr. Dorsey, you said yourself they have axles. You made a point to say that, but
Yes.
my question is, the $20 a month that is paid, that's not paid directly from the property owner to Baltimore County, correct?
No, that's paid.
It's
by-
collected,
It's paid by the mobile park owner.
so they send that in separately. So you receive a separate property tax bill from the property owner, for one, for his property, and then the second for what he charges every individual
No.
who owns. Tell me how that's done.
The only thing we have the amount that person pays. Yeah. We receive an amount from the park owner for their property tax.
Mhm.
And we receive an amount from the park owner in terms of the amount for the fees capped at $20 per pad each month.
So, I guess for me, my question is, because to be quite frank, I think $240 is a very small amount. 20 times 12, $240 a year is a small amount. And I dare say any structure in my property pays more than $800 a year in taxes. But my question is, the person who lives in a mobile home and a person that lives in an apartment, never mind how we characterize it or name it or break it down, are they paying similar taxes to the county? Because at the end of the day, taxes are about schools and police and road and government and all of those things that we pay for with the taxes. I don't want anyone to overpay, and I sure as heck don't want anybody to underpay. I want everybody to pay their share. So explain to me, for a person who lives in an apartment and a person who lives in a mobile home, as best we can, how can we figure out that they both are paying the same or not?
When you take the total assessment for all apartment units in the county, and I divide it by the number of units countywide, I come up with $749 per apartment dweller. When I do the same thing and taking all of the assessments for the mobile home parks and divided by the number of mobile park residents, that comes up to be $664. That's based on this past year. I've done it in prior years, many years ago, and the mobile homes were slightly higher than apartments. Right now, apartments are slightly higher. The difference between the two, $749 versus $664, is $85. Which
That's
again is a lot
including the $20 a month.
Including that.
Well, I think the difference, Mr. Chair, is you keep talking about a property owner. They're not property owners. They don't own the land that their mobile home is sitting on. So why are they paying property taxes?
Well, I don't want to get into the debate, but I think the issue, somebody has to pay taxes.
Well, they
for
pay
living,
income tax.
for the services we provide. You
They
think
pay
people should
taxes
pay no
on, they
taxes?
pay taxes on the mobile home when they purchase it. And they pay income tax. They pay taxes. Don't make it sound like they're not paying any taxes.
Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
It does, the people on Williams Estates, if the assessed value of Williams Estates includes the values of all of the mobile homes, then the property tax is being paid by the mobile home owners because the owner is certainly going to split that bill among the 500, 800 inhabitants of the community.
Just a point, just to be clear, I don't think the property owner of a mobile home park is being taxed on the mobile homes.
Well,
He's being taxed on the lots.
They were already taxed when they purchased them.
no, wait. But Lauren said that $20 million in improvements
That's the home.
is part of the assessment. So, yeah, right, yeah.
Well, one of the things that's just popping in my mind is if you had a farm, you would be taxed one way. And if you had that same piece of property, but you turned around and turned them all into improved lots where someone could build a house, I'm sure you'd be taxed another way. Am I on the right path or wrong?
I don't think you're
That's correct.
So the person who has a mobile home park is not being taxed the same as a farm. The person is being taxed the same as if they had an improved lots.
They're being treated as if it was commercial property, and in terms of whether there's improvements on there, from what Lauren saw, what I saw, many of these accounts have 0 listed as improvements. There is one she's identified that says there's $20 million of improved assessments. Someone asked the question earlier, could it be a community center or something like that on their lot? That's what we have to go back and find out. Why is it in this one case, or basically one we've identified, there is an assessment for improvement and it's not there for all of the others? So in general, it would appear those improvements are not being taxed. We have to find out why they were in that particular case.
That's fair. I think we have speakers.
So we do have 3 speakers. So more and more I think about this, it can fluctuate. The $20 is fixed. You can take the seat, sir. The $20 is fixed. We know that amount. In terms of what other fees we charge the landlord or the property owner, that's fixed. We know what that number is too, based on whatever assessment we use. I guess what we don't know in the middle there is when a property owner charges rent or ground rent for that trailer to sit there, that's a calculation that owner makes based on his or her expenses and how much profit they choose to make. Right?
Correct. That's whatever, the amount that is charged to trailer park residents varies significantly from trailer park to trailer park.
Right.
As you
Well,
said, and it's
location,
capped-
amenities,
it's
you
capped
name
at
it.
the $20.
And let me just add, we're not talking about we're talking about the average. Just shout out what your ground rent is.
750.
Okay, we're not talking
What's
about
that, a year?
$200-300. That's a month.
Oh, a month?
Yes. I want you to understand that. We're not paying $200-300 a month ground rent here. These are significant rents being charged for these mobile homes on top of these additional
To be
charges.
clear, please make that clear. That's not going to the county,
Right.
right?
No, but that's going to the property owner. We understand that.
But a person renting an apartment pays $1,800 in my community. Some of them pay $1,800, some of them pay $900,
That's
some of them pay $1,200.
That's
Yep,
correct.
and they don't.
None of
cut-
them pay
They
$750.
have to cut their own grass, and when you live in an apartment, you don't cut your own grass. They maintain their own properties. Just saying. They're paying a mortgage and $750 a month rent. A mortgage and $750 a month rent.
Pay a mortgage on a mobile home?
Yes, they have to buy them. So if you buy a $60,000 mobile home, you figure out the mortgage on that, and then you add the $750 a month. Now, they vary. There's mobile home parks that have $50 a month, $600, I don't know any that's under $400. And yes, the nicer the mobile home park, the more rent they pay.
I've already told you the administration's position, but I think you ought to be asking, if you're going to have this kind of discussion, you ought to be asking about the range of variation from apartment complex to apartment complex throughout the county, too. I mean, there are apartment complexes in the southeast and southwest, right, that charge lower amounts. There's still high amounts by virtue of what you get in services, but there are other apartment complexes where the individuals pay much more. If you're going to try to do this comparison, you ought to at least do the comparison as it lays out across the gamut. Remembering the whole time that the only piece that the county is receiving is what Mr. Dorsey referenced a while ago. The rest of these fees are being charged by the property owner, including the metropolitan fees.
But you did receive the $348,000 last year for this mobile home park and property taxes.
And quite frankly, I have no idea for what that is without seeing it.
Well, we looked at the tax bill.
But this property would be assessed on the income basis by assessments. If there's something else related to improvements, then we need to see them, but that's not traditional.
We just pulled the tax bill.
And it's not traditional for logical reasons.
We're just going by the tax bill. We just pulled the tax bill.
I thought you were writing me a note. Okay. Mr. Paul?
Yes.
Thank you for your patience, and you have 3 minutes, sir.
I think you covered a lot of the information, but I'll give you what I have here. My name is Paul Swoboda. I am president of the Baltimore County Mobile Home Association, as well as a member of the Essex Middle River Civic Association. The Civic Association itself is an umbrella group of 21 community associations in the area. As you know, there are 32 mobile home communities in Baltimore County, and we kind of covered them, but a lot of them in the Essex, Dundalk, Southwest Baltimore area. There are over 800 homes in my community, and we are homeowners, as I mentioned. We rent, we live there, we're part of the community. We rent the property that our houses are located on and pay rent to the property owner. My rent is approximately $750 a month, plus we pay the water bill that we discussed earlier. As homeowners, we're responsible for all repairs both inside and outside of our home, different than a rental apartment. They don't take care of their stove goes up, they call the management, the manager comes and takes care of it. We're responsible for all our repairs, both inside and outside. We're the homeowners. Resident mobile home communities are employed, are retired, and are residents of Baltimore County and pay income tax. We're very upset that the Baltimore County charges us an additional $20 a month. The community owners are responsible, now this is the owner of their property, are responsible for our own repairs, snow removal, water service, trash pickup at no expense to the county. And we are thankful to Baltimore County for our services, police, fire, and public schools, which are paid for with their income taxes that are already paid to the county. So I'm asking you support the Bill 7618. A lot of it was discussed and covered, but the main thing that I see is, the rental people. This is an old bill. We're homeowners. The difference when that bill was put in, that bill was put in for people that were transit. They were working here for a short period of time and needed the services of the county. We live here. We're part of the community, and we care about the community, and that's what we're looking for. Why those people in apartment buildings do not pay that thing, and we're here. They pay their year rent, and they're going to move somewhere else. We're here permanently. Not to say we couldn't move out, but in most cases, we're here permanently. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Councilman.
Quick, Lauren, on the tax bill, is there a metropolitan water charge? How much is it? $124,000 for the metropolitan, and then that probably may explain the 80 because we pay like $20 a month, and probably the other. I mean, every 3 months the other 60 must cover that 100
And they pay their own water bill.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. Yeah, please. Okay.
Any questions or comments for Mr. How do you say your last name? Wait, let me take a guess. Swoboda?
You say it like a W, it's a lot easier, Swoboda.
Swoboda.
And actually, in Czech, it means freedom.
Freedom, okay. Freedom from taxation.
Double taxation. No, that would be double taxation.
You're welcome. No, I do have one question for you, Mr. Swoboda. You claim that you feel that you're being double taxed.
Yes.
And you live here, and your property owners, what would you say to somebody who said that it appears you're being taxed less? Because if you look at your rent and the $240 all together, they come up to $999. Not counting your mortgage, but I mean, I guess the mortgage, everybody has to pay something for their mortgage, whether you have a big house, little house, no house. That's a calculation outside.
Right.
Right, but I mean, that's their calculation, right? But they pay some rent, which we assume that the question for me, I guess this will go to Mr. Dorsey and them. If you take a similar property with 500 units in an apartment complex, I guess that was your calculation when you said,
My calculation, because it doesn't matter the mortgage they're paying or all of the other extra costs. The question is, how much does the county get per unit? That's the heart of it in making the comparison. And so that's what we will go back and confirm the numbers for you in terms of how much does the county get? Because that's the only thing we can control. We
Right.
can't control what the owners are charging them, but we can control how much we assess.
all right, Mr. Swoboda, thank you so much for your testimony. David Gerstmeyer. Okay. Anybody named Jones out there? I have that. I have that one figured out. I could get that one right. Oh yeah, oh yeah. I've been called everything. Julius, you name it. Julie Ann. That's one of my favorites. Julie Ann. Yeah. Touches me in my feminine.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank the council for bringing this to the attention of all the people that are involved here today, from the administrative part, from the council part, because we've been a long time trying to do something about this. Let me just introduce myself a little bit here. I know I'm on a timer here. I'm Dave Gerstmeyer. I presided president of the Baltimore Biscayne Bay Village Community Association, a mobile home community, for 10 years. I'm also a member of the following civic organizations: the Police Community Relations Council, the Essex Middle River Civic Council, and the Baltimore County Mobile Home Owners Association. I've been a resident of Biscayne Bay Village since 2004. I'm asking for the council to support Bill 7618 because this excise tax, and that's what it is on our bill, it's referred to as an excise tax, was put into place in the 1950s at the time when trailer parks had a lot of people who were transit and had no residency in Baltimore County or even Maryland. The county felt that since these people were receiving municipal services, that they should contribute through this tax towards these services. Those trailer parks are now vibrant mobile home communities with permanent residents of Baltimore County. The owners of the land we rent from pay property tax, and in turn that cost is offset by the lot rent that we pay to the landowner. Apartment renters do not pay this excise tax. I want to emphasize excise tax. And this could be why Anne Arundel County has repealed this bill, and other counties are considering to repeal it as well. In conclusion, as a president of a mobile home community association with over 234 members, I consider this tax to be unfair, unjust, and out of date. I want to add this, because there's been a lot of talk here about development and so forth. These homes that we own and live in are registered with the Department of Motor Vehicles. As you pointed out, they have axles. We have axles. We have tires under our houses. They're not on the axles, but they're there. We are registered with our homes with the Department of Motor Vehicles. Mm-hmm. We're not supposed to be paying that kind of tax, and the only reason that it was implemented in the first place, there we go.
No, keep finishers. Go ahead.
All right. The only reason it was implemented in the first place is because people were receiving services and weren't putting out anything, and they didn't even live here. They only transited in, and then when they're done their job, they left. And it was unfair. It was unfair. But we are not mobile. We are not trailer parks any longer. We are communities. And I'm certainly an example of that. All the community activities that I'm involved in, and I have many people in my communities that are also involved in community associations. Things have changed. You're talking about 60 years ago. Things have really changed in that time. And now we're faced, and because it's $240, people are saying, well, it's only $240. I want you to do something with your calculations. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to multiply that amount of money that mobile home owners have paid since 1950 to now. And look at that figure. I think that we need to do something about this. And the fact that other counties are looking at it and other counties are doing it, I think that shows that there's something wrong here. There's something wrong and something needs to be done. And it needs to be done now. Look, I'm a Baltimore County resident. Do I want to get rid of money that comes in that takes care of services and so forth? Absolutely not. I'm a taxpayer too. I want to see the money come in. I'm not looking to get rid of the money. I'm looking to get rid of something that's unfair, unjust, and out of date. Bam.
Well,
You can clap.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman,
yeah, yes.
that very issue of the fact that the properties are registered with motor vehicles is why you're going to find that they're not assessed, right, by the State Department of Assessments and Taxation. So that's the issue that you need to look at.
Well,
By the way, there is one other thing that the council should be looking at as it looks at this. Any event that the council chooses to go ahead and repeal this, the council should think about how it's going to guarantee that the owners of the property pass that money back on to the individuals that live there, because they're not obligated to.
What do you mean they're not obligated to?
It's paid by the mobile park owners. It's not paid by the individuals. So the repeal.
Yeah, just like when we had the beverage
Okay, got
tax, and that was eliminated, you didn't see a reduction in how much you had to pay into a soda machine, even though that amount was disappeared. So the residents in those mobile home parks, their rent may not go down, but yet they'll still be paying.
It's not their rent, it's an additional fee on top of their rent.
Right.
No,
Can I say
There's actually a
something?
line that says $20. It's
Exactly.
not in their rent.
And all they have to do is leave the $220 there a month and remove that line and just leave it as part of the charge. My point to you is, and you can ask the legal advisor to the council as well, what obligation, what authority the council has to have these park owners charge less. I don't believe you have any whatsoever, but that's for someone else's review.
But if you're not sending them a bill, if there's no bill for that tax, how can they do that? I don't understand.
They can easily do it just by adjusting their fees by $20 a month. If that goes away and they charge the $20 a month just there.
In other words, if we
No,
repeal
they
the
can't do
tax-
that. They can't do that because they have a cap on their rent. They already have a cap on their rent that can't be raised. Is it 4% a year?
No, there's no cap. But can I just address that issue? Because when we get a bill, we're a lease from year to year, okay? When we get a bill, it's line item, $20 excise tax. It's on that lease that we get every year. Now, when that $20 is removed, it's no longer going to be a line item, so they can't charge us the $20.
I think they can.
No, they can't.
You can call it anything you want. You can call it, in other words, they're passing it through because they call it an excise tax. But in reality, if they want to call it a sunny day tax, or they can call it anything they want. The people that are collecting the money from you.
They identify it as a Baltimore County excise tax.
I understand that, but I think what Mr. Holman is saying is, if we were to do away with the taxes, they'll guarantee that the property owner who collects it from you will somehow not collect it. And
Why would they want to collect it? They don't get it anyway.
Right.
Well, they may
That's
see
my
it as a
point.
windfall.
Because now they will, because it will be a windfall. I'm just advising the council to be aware of this, because it's happened before and it will likely happen again.
So let me,
A windfall for whom, Mr.
for the
Holman?
property
For
owner.
the owner of the property. They can collect the funds, but just not remit them to the county.
Because it was never
Well, that would
really a
seem
tax
illegal
on the
to me.
individual
It's-
mobile
it would-
homeowner. It was never really there. Even though they put it on the bill,
Okay, I got-
it was
okay.
never their charge. It was always the mobile park owner's charge, never the individual person. They elected to put that down. They are the ones who are controlling that. And I don't know whether every mobile park does it, but that was never a charge to the individual mobile home.
Mr. Chairman.
Can
Yes,
I
Counsel.
just,
Go ahead, Councilwoman.
I just want to thank Mr.
Sure.
Gersmeyer for coming in. First, Dave, I've never seen you so passionate about anything, so I just want to say that first and foremost, and thank you for all that you have done in your community. I certainly appreciate it. Thanks for coming in today.
No, don't go anywhere, Mr. Gersmeyer.
Yeah, very quickly, your monthly bill says $750 plus, whatever yours, plus,
We
Plus
get
water.
a lease, we're on a lease
Right.
year to year, right?
Okay.
When we get the lease,
yes.
it's a line item there, Baltimore County excise tax, $20. That's how it's identified by our landowner.
What Mr. Homan is saying, basically, that if we eliminate the tax, that the owner of the mobile home park can just add $20 to your contract
The only
and
way
not
I
call it
see-
a
The only way
tax.
that I can see that happening, if they've been not doing it all along. In other words, that the mobile park wasn't even paying the county at all, then they could say to the person, if it's not a line item on their lease, they could just say, well, you know, we never paid it anyway. So then their rent would still stay the same. But when you've got a company like ours that is line iteming it and it's gone, and then you can say, well, my rent now is 20. This bill is supposed to go into effect October 29th. When when I pay my November bill, I'm going to deduct $20. And they can come and get me if they want, but they aren't. They aren't. But that because the bill says that we're deducting $20 from what you have to pay. And again, that's what this bill was all set. This bill was never established for the landowner. It was established for the resident. That's what it was established for.
But I don't know how, somebody, Mr. Fields, have to talk
I mean,
about
let's
that.
be clear, the odds are fairly good that the lease itself, which is actually the legal binding document, doesn't say how the charges are broken out. So the bill is probably illustrative. In other words, the lease may say, we're charging you $720 a month, that's your, and then when you get the invoice per month, and it doesn't say that $20 of, I mean, I haven't seen these things, and I haven't rented in a long time, but my guess is that they would have a legal leg to stand on if the lease itself, the binding legal document, said, here are all the things that we're going to charge you for, and it explicitly spelled out the $20 a month on the lease. But the bill saying that really doesn't necessarily do them very much good, because I think it is illustrative, and I think we've seen this with other businesses, right? Comcast, I mean, right, it doesn't, the bill itself doesn't tell you as much as the legal agreement that you've signed. And so my guess is that the lease itself is not going to say, or doesn't say, that $20 of what you're paying is going towards this tax for the county. It's also very possible that there are a lot of people who don't get invoices that even show the way it's broken out at all. And so that's the concern that Mr. Homan is raising, that you don't have any good way to make sure that the $240 doesn't just remain in the pocket of the property owner, and probably we don't have the authority to amend this bill to even provide for it. So that's all he was saying, is you're not necessarily creating a benefit for the tenant the way it's been presented here.
But can't you just ask each and every one of them the question of what is in their lease? Is that specified in their lease?
Right, and then remember that most of them have yearly leases that will renew eventually, which is what I was thinking of earlier. So, I mean, it's just, the only point he's making is just that it's really difficult for you to guarantee by this legislation that whatever, leaving aside all the other arguments that the administration has made, that in the end, we're talking about trying to benefit the tenants or the people who own these mobile homes, and there's really no good way to make sure that this money is going to stop being charged to them, really.
So I have a question for you, Mr. Gertzmeyer. First of all, I too appreciate you and all the other speakers for coming here today and enlightening us, and I certainly appreciate Councilwoman Bevins for bringing the issue up, because again, I want people to be taxed fairly, not too much, not too less, because someone has to pay for county services. So my question is this. Hearing your testimony, this is just me, I always thought in my mind that somehow by having the wheels in the axle on a structure that would otherwise be considered permanent by any other measure, that it was somehow some way of getting around something. I don't know why. That's my mind. But my question is, would you support some legislation somewhere else that would say, in a case such as yours and the other folks in your mobile home park, that we come in and just like every other property that has a ground rent, that pays a ground rent to a landlord, because there's plenty of permanent structures that pay ground rents, and it's a 99-year self-renewing lease to the landlord. Do you think it would be fair if they were to change all that and then treat your property like any other person who's buying a home, like a townhome or whatever?
Well, it's just a whole different, in other words, you'd have to change the whole system. You'd have to change the system of registration. Like I said earlier.
Right. You wouldn't have to pay that anymore.
Yeah. Well, but what I'm saying is they're vehicles. They're considered vehicles with the Department of Motor Vehicles. That's how it's determined. You would have to change that whole thing and not call them a vehicle anymore.
I guess that's exactly what I was saying. Do you think it would be fair that if they were to undo all of those things and treat your structure, your home, just like any other home, whether it be a shotgun rancher with no basement and pay ground rent?
Well, I don't know whether they could get it right or not, because again, the way things are set up now, with just like what you guys talked about earlier, with property and then the development on the property, what has been developed on it. Now, how would you segregate all that? How would you change all that about?
Well, I'm not trying to.
They were saying earlier that these mobile home landowners are being charged above what's on the above what the property is. That what's on the property, they're being charged for that. They're being charged for any improvements and so forth. How would you change all that? I just don't know. And that's the whole point of this, by the way. The whole point is the way this thing is set out. The landowner is he's doing it. He's paying it. You guys are getting it. The county's getting it. And what we're saying is we're getting it too. And we shouldn't be getting it because he's getting it. He's getting the whole blunt of it. But he's passing that offset back to us. So that we're paying it through our lot rent. My lot rent's almost $600 a month, plus $29 a month for water.
A month for water.
A month.
That's my next one.
And I'm just saying that I don't think you can get it right because there's too many spokes out there. There's too many things, too many tentacles out there to be able to change it. And I think the way that it is fair. I really do. I think it's fair without the excise tax. Because, and again, let's call it what it is. It's an excise tax. It's not a property tax.
Okay. So we have another speaker. Any questions? Go ahead, Councilman
I do.
Crandall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Gertzmeyer, it's good to see you. Our paths have crossed over the past few years. Yes, sir. So this may be an unfair question, but I'm going to ask it just in case you may know the answer. And if you don't know the answer, you shall be forgiven. So, and that is going back to part of a component to this discussion, which is the unimproved assessment versus the improved assessment. Do you have any idea whether your mobile home park is assessed as an improved property or assessed as an unimproved property?
No idea.
Okay, you're forgiven. I'm sorry, Lauren? Right. Okay, I was just out of curiosity because it seems that Williams Estates may be an outlier as opposed to other mobile home parks in the county, and maybe the association can help us out with that information. But you're forgiven anyway for not knowing.
So I'm going to, absent any questions, we're going to go on to the next speaker. And like I said, one real quick question.
Okay, Julian.
After all of our research, if it turns out that you are being taxed fairly today based on the $20 and what your landlord is paying, do you still think it's necessary to reduce the amount? If after everything we do, we turn out that you're being treated just like anybody else, they just call it a different name, but you're being treated like everybody else.
Well, the part that I have the problem with this is why it was established in the first place. It wasn't established in the first place because it was a development on the property. It had nothing to do with that. It was established because people were living in that area. They weren't residents of anything. They weren't residents of Maryland, Baltimore County, and they weren't paying a dime.
I get that, and I understand it, but I do know that over time, things evolve, things change, so it could have been that someone said, we need to do what I just thought of. Let's forget all that stuff and call it a home and tax them, and then someone else could have said in the room, well, we already charge them this excise tax, so they're already paying enough taxes, leave it alone. We don't know those things. My point is, because it starts here and 50, 60 years later we're someplace else, doesn't mean that it was just a straight line. There could have been all sorts of things that happened in the middle. The point I'm making is I just want to make sure we get to a fair price and make sure everybody's being treated fairly and that everybody in Baltimore County who enjoys our services.
I think if you take the figure of what mobile home communities have paid over the last 60 years, I think you're going to get a lot higher than what you think you are. I think it's a lot of money that we've been paying out
Well,
for 60 years.
one of the things that I can tell you about the money, and then we're going to go to the next speaker, is it's been a flat amount. It hasn't gone up with inflation, hasn't gone up with increases in taxes like everybody else. The assessments hasn't gone up that caused that $20 to be $40. That number has basically been the same.
No, that's not true. It started at $3 and has went up to $20 over the years.
Okay. All right.
But, you know, I appreciate your trying to figure out what's fair and so forth. But if you look at why it was instituted in the first place, and that's the piece that we seem to be neglecting, is why it was set up in the first place. It was set up for people that weren't paying taxes, and they were getting municipal services that they paid nothing into.
But isn't that the same today?
No,
I mean,
not at
you're
all.
getting services. If initially somebody was passing through, I'm assuming their kids didn't attend school. Today, you're not passing through. Today, you're here on a permanent basis.
Right.
Today, you are going to the library. You are going to school. You are calling the police. You are getting all the services that the government offer. Whereas in the beginning, it was sort of like, to me, it was like the tax that you get when you go to Disney World. You're traveling through, we can hit you for anything we want because our residents aren't paying it as transient people. But that's not today. So today, the argument is that you should be paying this fee or even more.
We are paying it. We're paying it through the landowner, and we're paying it through our personal income taxes.
Oh.
Plus the community volunteers and things like that that we do for the community. I mean, Todd spoke of, I've seen Todd many, many times at the Middle River Civic Council because I go there every month, and other people were involved. That never took place before in 1950. None of those things. And they count. That means something. That's what makes a community. And I think that's what we miss too. Back then, they were not communities. They were parks. They were a place for somebody to park something. When they were ready to go, they hauled it away. And that's not how it is now. We're people that love our community. We love our county, and we work hard to try to improve it in every way that we can.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Gersat.
Thank
Next,
you for your
Mr.
time.
Clarence Horton.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Clarence B. Horton III. I am a resident and I am a homeowner of Williams Estate and Peppermint Woods. I'm also the future. In saying that, you know, we listen to everything that's going on. And the bottom line is that there's $20 extra excess. It's on my bill. It comes up on every month. It's an extra charge with the water. We just don't understand why we're being charged $20 extra if we're already paying. We pay property taxes, we pay state taxes. We're just trying to figure out, what does the $20 do for us? Because our homes do not appreciate in value.
Right.
They depreciate.
Right.
Okay? I bought my home outright in cash. Okay? Everyone can't do that. We have some people that pay mortgages. We have some people who work it out with the bank. Okay? So if, and I'm speaking from a lot of people who are afraid to use their water because they're paying $20 extra on this excess tax every month, but they can't afford to pay their water bill. They're afraid to take a bath. They're afraid to wash their clothes. Over 80% of the people where I live at, my residents, my neighbors, they are senior citizens. They're on fixed incomes. They're single mothers. So if the $20 tax, whatever it's charged excess, if it was able to help us, it's fine, but it doesn't do anything for us. It doesn't give us any extra than someone who might rent an apartment. And I've lived in an apartment, and I've never had an extra $20 excess on my bill that month. So what we're trying to understand is, why are we being charged this? Because we're a mobile home park, and if we are, then we shouldn't use an apartment complex as the standard. You should go and use other mobile home parks in the state of Maryland as the standard. Because I don't know anybody who owns their apartment. If they do, it's called a condo. So if that's the case, then you might want to change the standard of which you're going to compare us to why we're paying this extra tax. I personally feel like it's, and another thing, everybody is not being, like you said, our homes are registered in the DMV. I don't pay extra tax on my cars, so why should I pay extra tax on my home? I'd like to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I appreciate the time and effort that we're taking for this. Have a great day.
No.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for coming in, Clarence, and
Yeah.
Councilman has a question for
Yeah,
you.
very quickly, does Williams Estates have any amenities like a swimming pool,
Okay,
a community center?
Well, let me explain that. I've lived in other mobile home parks in other states, okay? Now, I was paying $1,000 or more, but we had a clubhouse, we had a swimming pool, we had a whole bunch of other amenities. We don't have any other amenities. There's no
Nothing.
swimming pool. We don't have a place for, we have a small playground for the kids to play, but there's no way where the kids can go and really play. Now, if
Not-
we had other amenities that other places had, that might be, you know, but we don't. So we pay the highest lot rent out of most of the mobile park areas. You know, the reason why I moved to this area was because the the home we bought I was able to afford it. I didn't have to get a 10-year or 30-year mortgage with a lien. I was able to pay it outright. But at this point now, we have people right now that in the next couple months, they might not be able to. The $20 does make a difference. Even though it might be $240, the $20 makes a difference to some of the residents here. But if we had those type of amenities, sure. You know, if we had someone to come in that cleans our, cuts our grass, cleans the snow, things of that nature, then I can understand that, but we don't.
Yeah.
Like if something breaks, it's on me.
And I was trying to figure out if the $20 million in improvements were $20 million worth of,
Okay,
swimming pool, community
I've
center.
been there since 2014. I haven't seen $20 million
Okay.
in improvements.
Okay.
So let me just say one thing, Mr. Clarence, Mr. Horton, thanks for coming. So what if I were to say to you, basically what I say to anyone who says to me, what am I getting for my taxes? I would say you have county recs and parks, you have schools, you have a lot of facilities outside of your individual neighborhood that you get a benefit for that $20.
And at present point in time, I have no children. At this present point in time, I don't go to community recs and centers.
Well,
Okay?
we don't do it a la carte.
No. So what I'm saying, right? But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But the $20 doesn't do anything for us as homeowners because we're already paying we already pay taxes. We pay state tax, we pay federal taxes, right? Okay, then we pay this extra excess fee, but what is it actually going to?
Well, I guess
Is it going to like services like? Is it going to the schools? Is
Sure.
It going, so,
Yeah,
but so then what are we paying the taxes for that we already pay for then?
Well, everybody pays income taxes. Everybody pays taxes on their vehicle. Everybody pays taxes on the soda that they buy. Everybody pays property taxes.
Yeah, but
You're
I only
saying
pay
that you're a
one-
homeowner, but you
but I
don't pay
only pay-
property taxes.
But I only pay one tax on my soda. I only pay one tax on my food. I don't pay another tax including on my food.
Mr. Chair, I think the point is that the property tax is paid for by the landowner, and whatever that is per unit, that's incorporated into the ground rent.
Correct.
So this is their point. They're already paying in ground rent a property tax that the landowner then goes and pays. So now they have $20 a month extra on top of it. That's the whole point of the bill.
Okay, and I guess the point that Mr. Dorsey and Mr. Holman was making is the bill is sent to the property owner. And a property owner, go ahead.
And the point is, they're paying taxes just passed through, but I'm saying they're not paying what they normally would have paid if it was treated differently by assessments. They would have been paying a lot more, their fair share. Right now, if you only left it at property taxes, they would not be paying their fair share of property taxes. The amount that's added is to try to get them to their fair share. That's what Lauren and I will come back and will confirm in terms of what they are being charged in property taxes divided by the number of units is not their fair share.
Real quick question.
I have a question.
If I could. Just to make sure I'm clear on the number, and maybe we're checking this number too, but if you compare, like, for example, I'm hearing sort of from the mobile home group that we want to be treated similar to apartment dwellers, people that live in apartments. They're renting, they're not owning technically. But then if you say, okay, well, let's break it down from that number standpoint, when you guys ran the numbers, the average apartment unit paid $749 versus $664. Is that $664, that's including the $20 we're talking about?
Yes.
So when you mix all the soup into the bowl, for bottom line math, $749. If we treat mobile homeowners just like we're treating apartment owners from a taxation standpoint, so we just equalize the playing field, are you saying now then that the actual average cost per unit would go up from $664 to $749?
We did what?
Just looking at the math, how much the average apartment unit person's paying versus the mobile unit? I mean, in other words, I think I need more information on these actual calculations.
I have a question for Mr. Holman. Mr. Holman, do you know if the apartment renters are being charged a similar fee when they reside on commercial property? If you rent an apartment and you're on commercial property, are you paying the same charge as what the mobile home parks are paying?
I'm not sure,
Are the apartment renters being charged a similar fee if they're on commercial property?
Are they being charged at $20?
Mm-hmm. No?
We don't have a separate fee for that.
Commercial property.
Well, I'm looking forward to getting more math from, the administration and from the audit, just make sure I understand it. 'Cause
Any additional questions or comments? I think what Councilman Quirk was saying, if I can be so bold, you were making reference to the fact that at one point you took all the property of people who own apartments in the county, and you divided the number of apartments into their taxes, and you came up with a number of $749 per apartment. And then you did the same thing with property owners who own mobile parks. And you divided those lots into what they pay,
Correct.
including the $20 a month.
And then added the
And
$20
that-
per month to it, yes.
Excuse me?
And then added the $20 a month to it, yes.
And you came up with $664,
which is including the $20.
which was less than the apartments. So the purpose of that number was to say the mobile home parks are paying less than the apartments.
Comparable, yes.
That's just a big, very, very wide brush. We'll give you a couple more.
I just have a question, Mr.
Yes,
Chairman.
sir.
How does he come with the figure of the 600? Because I don't own the property. I just own the home.
Right.
And everybody does not pay the same amount of rent. So I'm just trying to figure out how you get this
It was, I
figure.
guess, a broad.
But it's an off figure though. Because if we were paying $666 a month in lot rent, some of us wouldn't be about this other thing that we're trying to deal. But I just want to know how you get that figure. Is that just something you just grabbed out the air? or-
No,
because
it's the amount of
I don't-
revenues coming in.
I'm just asking the question.
In terms of, we collect off the budget and finance, I'm director of budget, off the budget and finance. We collect monthly from all of the mobile home parks. We also have for each mobile home park, how many lots are in that mobile home park. So I know how much they collected during the year, because I collect the money. We know how much they collected. I have the number of units in each one of those parks, and I take the total number of units divided by the total amount of money that we collected.
You do a median, correct?
That's correct, in terms of.
So,
Or an average.
but if everybody doesn't pay the same amount of money in lot rent, how do you have that median?
Well, in terms of, I know some people pay more.
Some people,
Okay.
yeah, right, but so how do you, the median?
Okay.
I did the same approach for the apartments. I took all of the apartment, assessed value for all
Okay.
apartments in Baltimore.
All right. Yeah.
And the number of units and divided it.
Well,
That's how the numbers came out.
thank you, Mr. Dorsey. And I thank you, Mr. Horton,
Thank
Mr. Gersmeyer, and Mr. Swoboda.
Almost.
Swoboda. I wrote it down. I thank you all for coming out. We certainly appreciate it. And I think this will conclude our work session. It's been very informative, and I assure you we're going to give it due consideration.
Go get a picture of the three of them. Huh? Let me see what it looks like, yeah. Because we're gonna send it to the, if it passes. Oh, my mic's on.
Our collection is divided by the number of units, that's how much on average everyone is paying. You add it to the amount from the property tax, that came up to 600 and something.